With all the power of technology and science in the world, I bet you dollars to donuts that you still trust a human face to be a human. But come closer and let me speak to the creatures that swim in your ancient oceans, the old ones that sing to you in your dreams, encoded memories so afraid that you think they're extinct, but they wait, coiled and unblinking, in your blood and in your bones. Okay, so hey world, it's Paige. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm here to talk about Son of a Trickster by Eden Robinson. Hold on, I have the book somewhere. Son of a Trickster by Eden Robinson. So I've already read this book, but I reread it this week because one, I have the House Alt Book Club chat. Hopefully today when I'm posting this video, maybe not, but that was our September pick, and yes, we're discussing it in October. Things happened. I will be linking that so you guys can watch that video because I feel like we're probably going to get a lot more in depth. I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free, and also because for work, because hello, I work at Penguin Random House Canada. This is a disclaimer that I am biased because we do publish this book and I like my job. So I tend not to rail on books that I work for, but genuinely I love this book. It is our Penguin Book Club pick for the month as well because the show is coming out on Wednesday, October 7th in Canada. I don't know about the US, I don't know about anywhere else, but in Canada it's coming on CBC and I am about to watch the first 2 episodes because I was lucky enough to get them through work. And like I mentioned, I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free, which I tend not to do with my reviews, but I just feel like this book is just hard to describe in general. It's just an indescribable book. It is so interesting. It's such a great read. It's very quick and very entertaining, but it's also very dark. So this book follows Jared. He is going through his 10th grade and basically we're just watching his life unravel. That is what you're experiencing in this book. There are fantastical elements weaved throughout the story, but really the final third of this book is where everything sort of explodes. But he has a very fraught family life. He has very difficult relationships with both his mother and his father. They both seem to like rely on him a lot more. Like he feels like the parent in the relationship, but that is just part of his nature. He is a very caring person. This whole novel is like the slow crumbling of his life, which allows him to sort of come to terms with the mythological elements that have been lingering in the background of the whole story. The author said, because I watched a couple of interviews before filming this video, which I always do, and the author said that she wanted to write about how the recession in 2008 had an impact on her community because she felt like she wasn't seeing stories about those people, and that's what this book was for her. I feel like that's why this book sort of straddles the line between literary and genre, because really more so than exploring like the fantastical elements, which the later part of the series does, it really focuses on the characters and really building a sense of setting, a sense of atmosphere, and as well just like developing the characters that just makes you intensely attached to them, even if they are not necessarily the best people all of the time. As quick of a read as it was, it feels weird to describe this as like a fun read just because there are so many dark elements to it, but I'm going to give content warnings for self-harm and suicide attempts. There's copious amounts of drug use, alcohol abuse, there is domestic abuse, which is not explicitly described until later on in the novel, but it is hinted at throughout the novel. I'm probably missing things because this is, I want to describe it as a heavy read, but it deals with heavy topics. There isn't really a lot of plot in the traditional sense to me. Like there isn't like a getting to B sort of feeling to this story, especially because of the way Eden decides to tell the story. There's some non-linear elements to it because you are being given pieces of the full picture as you need them to understand the story. And it sort of helps you understand why characters are acting the way they are, even if you don't in the beginning. And that's just like how you get to know people in general. You don't know everything about them off the bat, and sometimes they're gonna withhold information from you, and Jared's withholding information because he doesn't want to think about certain things, and it just so brilliantly done. I cannot like sing enough praises about how I feel like the story was written, and that's what makes the story sort of feel more literary than genre to me. And I feel like some people might go into it thinking it's way more genre than it is because of the fantastical elements, like even in the name of the story, Son of a Trickster. That is not the main focus of this book at all, and it develops more later on in the series, but for this first book you're just really being introduced to the characters and watching all the elements fall into play so that you can explore that side later on. The way she tells the story did take a minute for me to understand, because there's a beginning part with a dog, which is also included in the summary, so I'm not spoiling it, but one, it made me cry like very early into the book, which I was not expecting because I was like, oh, I'm not like in like that kind of mood where I'll cry at everything, but I literally would not leave my dog alone while I was reading this book because the dog plays such a huge part that like I literally would not leave my own dog alone. I was like, I need to cuddle you at all times while I'm reading this. That element where we're first being introduced to that part of the story was sort of confusing because I was like, is this happening at the same time? Like I didn't really understand that we were being told parts of the story without like it's like flashbacks without it being a flashback, if that makes sense. It's just like how you would remember something. But once you settle into how she's telling the story, it's just amazing, and I loved it. And I'm gonna stop raving about that part of the book. While some people may be frustrated by the lack of fantastical elements in this book, if they went into it expecting a lot more than they got, I just enjoyed that the traditional like Western chosen one trope wasn't used, where like they just have like amazing powers immediately right off the bat. They're like chosen one because they have these like amazing powers, and that Jared really just isn't interested in this book in the magical elements of his life. He really just doesn't want to use them. He does not care about them in any sense. Like, he has purposefully been like willfully ignorant about everything that's happening around him. And like, we're so used to the story where the character finds out within like the first third of the book that they're magical, and then like they spend the rest of the book harnessing those skills. And in this book, it's just like the final third, you're like, huh, here's everything, please enjoy. And I liked that twist on everything. And I really didn't mind that there weren't a lot of fantastical elements in this one, because it's gonna get explored later on, and you just have to read the rest of the books. It's a series for a reason. I feel like the author really fleshes out every character that you meet. Like, they all feel like lived in real people, even when you don't get to spend a lot of time with them. Like, I really love Crashpad, probably one of my favorite set characters, and like, you barely get any time, like real time with him, but like, it's his fandomness that really just endeared me to that character. A lot of characters are dealing with substance abuse, which makes them do not great things, and it's very frustrating because, you know, like, some people can be better, and then when they're not being better, you just want to like shake them. But I can't say that I disliked a character vehemently. I just disliked what they were doing sometimes. The relationship between Jared and his mom was really what stood out the most to me. Enjoyed is such a weird word for it, but I appreciated the complexity of that relationship and the depth of it, and the way that you sort of knew, or was like, that she was loving him in the way that she was able to, because I never doubted that she loved Jared, even though she did really shitty things. And like, that relationship just really shows how intergenerational trauma continues to impact families, like how Jared's grandma and his mom's relationship impacts his own relationship with his mother, and probably how he's going to have his relationships with other people. And Jared, bless him, he's not the most woke child, but he is just trying to do his best, and I was like oddly protective of that character. But then watching reviews with other people, I see a lot of other people who are also just like, bless this sweet summer child who is just going through things, not doing the best, but you just like want him to do the best. You just want the best for him. You want him to get his shit together. He's so compassionate toward other people in a way he's not compassionate toward himself. And I think that's what endeared the character to me and just made me wish things were going in his favor. Overall, I just thought it was like a very quick read. I literally was always thinking about this book when I had such a busy work week that I couldn't pick it up as quickly as I wanted to finish it. Normally, I've said this in other videos, I can't read before bed because I fall asleep, but with this book, I would not want to go to sleep. I would want to continue reading. And because it straddles like that line of like genre and literary, and it focuses just mostly on character interaction, it just really hits that sweet spot of like the kinds of stories and writing styles that I like. And also, the author is just such a joy of a human. Like, go watch some interviews with her. Her laughter is so contagious, and she just has like this great dark sense of humor that really comes through in this book. And I would definitely recommend reading the series. Just go read it. 10 out of 10. Especially if you're trying to find something like in this halfway spooky spirit. Like, I have so many spooky books that I'm reading, and this was like the perfect way to kick off this month for me. And then if you're in Canada, also watch the show, because I've heard nothing but good things from the people who've seen it so far, and I will give you updates maybe on my Twitter or something, because I'm literally about to go watch it. But that is my spoiler free, I actually withheld information, go me, review of Son of a Trickster. And everybody whose opinions that I really, really trust, that I know in like real life, has really loved this series as much as I do. So just like go read it. Anyway, I'm gonna go watch the first 2 episodes, and I will talk to you guys in my next video, which is gonna be me listening to audiobooks for a full week. Let me know if you've read the series, because I was looking for reviews of it and I saw 2, which is like criminal in my opinion. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Bye. Okay, this is an update from Future Page. I just finished the first episode and it was so good. I feel like, because I've been like reading reviews and stuff in preparation for the live show tonight, if you wanted more fantastical elements in the story, the show itself has more like just weaved in from the get-go. Yeah, it's really good. It also has like reaffirmed my love for the character Crashpad. Like, I had a love for him from the book, but in the show. Can already tell it's gonna be one of my faves. So yeah, good, 10 out of 10. Would recommend watching as well. I need to edit this video now, so bye.